Have you ever wondered why some people walk into a room and instantly shift the energy without saying a single word? It's not because they're pretending to be strong. It's because their mind is anchored, unshakable, immune to the storms others crumble under. No insult rattles them. No failure knocks them down. No distraction leads them astray. They carry a quiet intensity that speaks louder than any voice ever could. That kind of power isn't given. It's built. You see, the world teaches us to act strong, to smile when we're hurting, to nod along, even when we disagree. But beneath that mask, most people are terrified of rejection, of failure, of not being enough. What if strength isn't about pretending to be fine, but about training your mind to stay grounded, no matter what chaos surrounds you? This kind of mind doesn't panic. It doesn't chase validation. It doesn't shatter when plans fall apart. And when you build a mind like that one that's steady, disciplined, clear people feel it. They feel it in the way you don't react, in the way you stay silent while others gossip, in the way you keep your path while others beg for applause. Your stillness becomes your presence. Your presence becomes power. But this strength, it's not some new age idea. It was forged over thousands of years by warriors, emperors, philosophers, those who lived through chaos and refused to be broken by it. They practiced something ancient, something timeless: Stoicism. Stoicism isn't just a concept to admire, it's a battle-tested blueprint for mastering life. It's a toolkit to sharpen your mind, calm your emotions, build iron discipline, and become resistant to manipulation, distraction, even pain itself. If you're tired of reacting, tired of being pulled in every direction, if you crave something real, unshakable, then keep watching. Because this philosophy may be what your soul has been quietly searching for all along. Let's start here with a truth that cuts deep. Growth comes with loneliness. Do you want a mind so powerful that it unsettles others? Then brace yourself. The first thing you will encounter on that path is not applause. It's silence. It's distance. It's a loneliness so raw, it almost takes your breath away, not because you've done something wrong, but because, finally, you're doing what's right for you. You stop laughing at jokes you don't find funny. You stop nodding at opinions you no longer agree with. You stop showing up at places that leave you empty. And the world notices. But not in the way you expect. When you begin to break free, others see it as rebellion. When you walk away from small talk and step into deep self-reflection, they call you distant. When you say no to pointless drama, they accuse you of being cold. But you're not. You're just done pretending, done living like a background character in someone else's performance. Be honest. Aren't you exhausted from acting like everything's okay? From laughing when you're breaking inside? From pretending to care about things that don't feed your soul? You're not weak. You're awakening. Marcus Aurelius said it best. To live a good life, we have the potential for it. If we can learn to be indifferent to what makes no difference. And that's the secret. A good life isn't measured by how many people approve of you. It's measured by how free you are from what doesn't matter. And that freedom scares people. Why? Because when you stop chasing meaningless noise, you expose the distractions they're drowning in. From this moment forward, you'll have to master one of the hardest skills of all: walking alone without losing your way. There's no manual for that. No classroom teaches it, but it's real, and it's necessary. Picture this. You're sitting alone in a dim room. No phone, no TV, just you and your thoughts. Can you handle that silence? Or will you reach for distraction, trying to escape what's rising inside? Because if you can't sit alone with your thoughts, you'll always be a prisoner to the crowd. And if you always need the crowd to feel whole, you'll never be free enough to become who you really are. Consider this. Emily Dickinson lived in near silence, yet her words still echo through time. Nikola Tesla spent most of his life in isolation, yet his vision lit up the world. They didn't seek to blend in. They stepped away, and in that solitude, they found razor-sharp clarity. Now, the question is, are you willing to do the same? Try it just once. Turn everything off. Lock your door. Sit in stillness and write. What are you avoiding? What truths are you afraid to face? Why do you need so many people to feel like you matter? The answers may not come instantly, but something deeper will begin to rise. A strength not loud, but steady. Not aggressive, but unwavering. Remember this. Loneliness isn't the punishment. It's the place where reconstruction begins. It's the battlefield where your mind learns how not to break. And once you can stand in that silence and stay whole, judgment, rejection, failure, they all become just noise in the background. They lose their power. And when you rise from that stillness, the world will notice not with admiration, but with caution. Because a mind that no longer seeks approval is dangerous to those who profit from your obedience. So ask yourself, are you ready? Because the next lesson will test you even more. When you begin to change, even in small, subtle ways, the very people who once cheered you on may become the first to turn their backs. And you will need to stand tall when they do. And now, the truth becomes sharper. When you choose your path, people may walk away. But here's the next test tone, far more personal. Can you keep walking forward without needing their approval? Ask yourself this. If I went back to who I used to be, would I respect myself more? It's a confronting question, but the answer is usually clear. Once you taste growth, shrinking feels suffocating. A strong mind doesn't avoid resistance. It walks straight into it and keeps going. Not because it enjoys the struggle, but because it understands something deeper. Every obstacle you push through adds to your strength. Every time you keep moving despite criticism, despite silence, despite fear, you're fortifying something inside you that no one can take away. Not everyone is ready for that version of you. But if you are, stop waiting for permission. Don't pause for applause. Just move. And if any part of this message is striking something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Share one change you're making in the comments. That one act of voicing your shift might be the spark someone else needed to stop hiding and start living. Sometimes, courage spreads from just one whisper of truth. If you're ready to keep building a mind that doesn't crack under pressure, a mind that leads rather than follows, subscribe. We've got a long road ahead, but trust me, every step is worth it. Lesson 3. Let go of needing approval. People fear what they can't control. And there's nothing more unsettling to the crowd than a free mind. A mind that no longer needs applause. A mind that doesn't ask for permission to exist, to speak, or to act. When you stop chasing validation, you become unpredictable. You start thinking for yourself. And that is threatening, not because you're dangerous, but because you make people confront their own self-abandonment. You remind them of the choices they didn't make, of the freedom they didn't claim. Nietzsche called this kind of person the Übermensch, the one who rises above herd morality, who no longer accepts values by default, but creates their own. This kind of person doesn't ask, "Am I allowed to do this?" They ask, "Is this worthy of me?" Think about that. Just like a mountain climber doesn't ask for directions from someone sitting in the valley, a truly strong mind doesn't wait for approval from those still clinging to comfort. Let me ask you, have you ever stopped yourself from doing something just because someone else disapproved? Maybe you deleted a post because you thought no one would care. Maybe you held back an idea, a truth, a dream, just to avoid standing out. The real question isn't how often you silence yourself, it's whose life are you living when you do. When your need for recognition drives your behavior, you're not steering your life anymore. You're a puppet, wearing the mask of independence. Stoic philosophy has a powerful warning. If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Because real growth requires you to look wrong before you can look wise. The less you need to be liked, the more you're free to do what's right. But this is exactly why society resists people like you. Because if you prove it's possible to live without approval, others are forced to confront the truth. They could do it too, but they didn't. Mediocrity doesn't need force to survive, it only needs consensus. It uses subtle weapons, the raised eyebrows, the just being practical advice, the passive-aggressive comments. Not because people hate your strength, but because it reminds them of their own forgotten power. Nietzsche called this slave morality a value system, where the weak redefine their inaction as virtue. When you show strength, they call you cold. When you act with independence, they say you're selfish. But you weren't born to blend in. You weren't made to please everyone. Galileo was condemned for saying the earth moved around the sun. He told the truth, but truth didn't win popularity contests. Rosa Parks didn't shout. She simply refused to give up her seat. That quiet defiance changed history. Real power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, "I won't flinch," when the world demands you bow. Here's a challenge. It's simple, but revealing. Go eat alone. No phone, no headphones, no pretending to be busy. Just sit with yourself. Feel that discomfort, that crawling sense of being watched or judged. That's not loneliness. That's the fear of being seen as lonely. But if you sit with ITIF, you endure that sting without reaching for distraction, you'll discover the first taste of freedom. The moment you no longer fear what others think, you begin to move on your own terms. Ask yourself this: if you posted nothing, if no one saw your work, would it still feel meaningful? If your answer is no maybe, just maybe you're performing life instead of living it. You're planting for likes instead of fruit. And that's not life, it's theater. The Bible says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." You don't have to fight the world. You only need the courage to live differently. Let go of the crowd's applause. Let go of trying to impress people who don't even know themselves. If you truly want to build a mind that unsettles others in the best possible way, start here. Define your values. Don't borrow them. Don't copy the morals of the majority. Ask yourself, does this action make me a better version of who I am becoming? When you can answer that honestly, when you can live by that question without needing praise, you're not just strong. You're free. So here's where it gets personal. Up until now, we've talked about building a strong mind by letting go of validation and walking your own path. But what happens when that path is steeped in pain? What do you do when the battle isn't external but inside your chest, wrapped around your heart? Here's the real question. Have you ever tried to find meaning in your suffering? Or have you just been trying to outrun it? There's a reason I want to share this story with you. Because it proves a truth that many spend their lives avoiding. Pain doesn't destroy you. Avoiding it does. There was a man named James. By all appearances, he had built a good life. A respected engineer. A loving husband. A proud father. But everything crumbled in a single tragic moment when his 6-year-old son died in a freak accident. After that, James was no longer James. He became a ghost. He shut down every emotion, buried himself in spreadsheets and deadlines. He thought that maybe, just maybe, if he moved fast enough, worked hard enough, he could outrun the grief. But the more he ran, the hollower he became. Then one afternoon it all cracked open. He saw his son's tiny shoe stuck under the table where they'd last played, and he fell to the floor. For the first time, he cried. Really cried. He didn't run. He didn't block it out. He let it in. That moment changed everything. He began writing letters to his sonane every day. Letters filled with aching guilt. Memories that burned. Moments they would never get to share. At first, it was just survival. But 1 year later, those letters became a book of raw, heartbreaking gift that helped thousands of grieving parents endure the unbearable. Maybe your story isn't like James's. Maybe you haven't faced that kind of loss, but you have your own pain buried, hidden, ignored, And here's what matters. Don't run from it. Sit with it. Let it speak. Start each day with a simple but powerful question. What pain am I trying to ignore? Write it down not to complain, but to understand. Then ask, what can this teach me? Because when you face your pain instead of fleeing it, something remarkable happens. It begins to loosen its grip. It stops being a wound and starts becoming fuel. Just like coal under immense pressure becomes a diamond, your mind, when exposed to truth and tension, begins to sharpen. It stops breaking and starts transforming into something solid, something brilliant. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Without hardship, there is no strength, no clarity, no fire." So, pause for a moment. Breathe. Ask yourself honestly, how many times in your life have you backed down just to avoid pain? How many important moments never happened because you were afraid to feel too much? Here's something practical. Choose one painful memory. Write it out not as a victim, not from the storm, but from the other side. Write it like someone who made it through, who lived to tell it. Because once the story changes, your mind does too. A strong mind isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. And the raw materials? They're the hardest to hold. Pain, failure, loss. While others run, you walk forward. While others complain, you reflect. While others fall, you grow. And that's when people begin to fear you, not because you don't feel, but because you don't collapse. Because once you've turned your pain into your power, you're ready for what comes next. So now, you've seen it for yourself. Strength isn't about never hurting. It's about rising because you've hurt. It's about carrying your scars like armor, not shame. Every time you choose truth over comfort, stillness over chaos, and growth over fear, you are building something the world can't touch. A mind that doesn't need to shout to be powerful. A mind that doesn't need permission to move forward. A mind that no matter what happens does not break. That's not theory. That's not philosophy on paper. That's a way of living. A way of being. If something in this message stirred something inside you, don't let it fade when the video ends. Take one step, even a small one. Write, reflect, sit in silence, face what hurts. And remember this, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be honest and brave enough to keep showing up. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more minds like yours. Quiet, clear, and unshakable. Thank you for watching. If you found value here, hit like, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe. We've only just begun. This is Stoic Blended. The journey to inner power is far from over.